Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome back to another edition of Piano for Guitar Players. Today we are going to be delving into, or at least introducing, the concept of using our left hand. This is a very interesting subject for us as guitar players because for many of us who play the guitar right-handed, we will think of our left hand as being the hand that we probably have most of our dexterity in, which often isn't the case when somebody comes to play the piano. When you come to play the piano, you start with your dominant hand. Your right hand will go on the instrument. And then you tend to struggle a little bit more with, bringing that left hand up to par. But for us, our left hand is often not as bad as the average beginning piano student. So I'm going to give you some pointers for the left hand today and ways that we can introduce using that left hand in with the right hand work that we were looking at last time. If you didn't check out that video, please do. And of course, if you are enjoying this and you enjoy my channel, please do consider hitting the like button, subscribe, all of that. But if you want more of this content, then head on over to my Patreon page, because each time I upload one of these videos here on YouTube, this is the lesson, I do a practice session over on Patreon. So I'll walk through a few more exercises in a little bit more detail, and we'll practice them for a longer period of time so you can practice with me. And of course I have my weekly guided practice routines over there for guitar players. I have my ear training lessons. There's hundreds of transcriptions. You can even book private lessons with me. So check out the link in the description, and thank you so much for watching. Right, let's delve into it. So just a quick reminder. Last week, or last lesson I should say, we delved in that C major scale. We played this. We only played one octave, and if you didn't worry too much about the correct fingering for that, we're not going to worry so much about the full scale this week, but we are going to deal in the dexterity of just those first 5 fingers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is something that we will be doing towards the end of this lesson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C, D, E, F, G. That's our right hand. Now, as I said in the introduction, as guitar players, this may end up being our weaker hand, but because this is probably your dominant hand, statistically speaking, you're more likely to be right-handed than left-handed. So statistically speaking, this is likely to be your dominant hand. You will find this hand quite easy to develop quickly. But as guitar players, our left hand is usually the hand we do our fretting with. So before delving in some of the concepts I wanted to look at today, I just wanted to look at that concept of using the 5 fingers to play the same idea, C, D, E, F, G. Now, just placing my hand down on a low C, this is 2 octaves below middle C. Remember, middle C right in the middle of our piano, and it's going to show up on our notation as that one, the line that goes between the treble and the bass clef. We are not the C below, but a C below that. Of course, if you're doing this lesson on a smaller keyboard, a 66 or a 61 or a 48 key, whatever, smaller keyboard, we're just looking for a C with our pinky finger, and we're going to do that. Now, if you just wanted to challenge yourself, right, you could do those 2 things simultaneously. Degree of separation between those notes. It's quite important, right? We don't want this. You can see that that's messy by looking at the keyboard, but you can hear that it's messy. Nice definition. C, D, E, F, G, and down. Now, of course, as guitar players, we're probably very good with the fingers, but the thumb is not something we tend to use for fretting. So you might have a little bit more weakness getting just definition between these notes. So you might play something like... Now, we're not looking for speed here. The speed isn't the important aspect here. It's the control, right? Try doing that really quietly as well. Try digging in. Staccato. All of those things are going to help us just make sure that we have control in this hand. Now, the focus of this lesson is going to be talking about octaves and fifths. Octaves and fifths. Because for the most part, when a guitar player sits at the piano, the thing that you're most likely to have to do, or most likely going to need to do, is going to be playing some chords in the right hand. And accompanying that with an octave pattern in the left hand. So being able to go. So that's just, I'm playing an octave in my left hand. So what is that? An octave, of course, is where we're going to be playing the same note. So if I'm playing C, I'm going to double it with a C an octave higher. Now on the piano, I think of this as being the most important thing we need to be able to do in the left hand. And we need to feel this distance with our hand without hesitation. So when I'm holding my hand like this, I know that if I place that onto my keyboard, that's going to be my octave. It's not wider than that. If I spread this wider, this doesn't feel like an octave to my hand. So I want you to spend some time putting your finger on the pinky on the C down here, and then the thumb on the C an octave higher. Now you might find that if this is a wide stretch for you, it shouldn't be. Most people don't struggle with this. But you can kind of use the keys to your advantage. You can play the C, and then you can force your thumb down here, but then you can actually push up into the keys like this just to help stretch your hand out and get used to feeling what that's going to feel like as a stretch. Now, when we have this, take it off the keyboard, close the hand, shake off, and reapply. The most important thing, being able to do that. We could just move that through our C major scale. I could play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I'm not playing on a bench. If I was playing on a piano bench, it would be easier for me to shift along a little bit as I'm playing. I'm on a traditional chair, a desk chair, an office chair. So that's a little bit harder. So it might feel a little bit awkward to move along like this. But we could do that and descend. That needs to feel natural. Now, an exercise that I'll be going into a little bit more depth on the Patreon video is going to be taking the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern that we played before, and what we're going to do is allow ourselves, because I find this to be one of the more interesting aspects of developing the ability to play the piano, it's about learning to split the hands, and we essentially need to have a brain in our right hand and a brain in our left hand. And in reality, that's obviously not the case. What happens, or what tends to happen, is you allow part of your body to go onto autopilot. So in this case, this is our autopilot. Because we've practiced this a lot, we're not having to move the hand position, I'm just playing. And that's going to allow me to take my left hand and move it like this. So keeping my hand here, I'm going to double what happens. Well, I'm not actually going to exactly double it. I'm going to play C, octaves on E, octaves on G, and then on E. Now this will feel awkward at first. I want you to really focus on just playing this part in the left hand. That has to be the automatic part. And over the top, we're going to go, well, I guess underneath, we're going to go C, E, G, E, C, E, G, E, C. So it's a nice exercise because it feels quite musical, But really it's a dexterity exercise for the right hand and a brain splitting or an independence exercise between the arms. Not necessarily between the fingers, but really to help you to separate those arms into two separate things. So that's our octave pattern. But there I'm actually only applying it with the white keys, right? So we can also do the same thing for each note. We don't have to go from C to D, but we could go from C to C sharp. Now when we do this, we're always going to have our hand on two keys of the same colour. Two white keys, two black keys. We go D, two white keys, E flat, two black keys. F, sorry, E to F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, that's our B flat, B, and we're back to C. So what I'm doing there, still octaves, but I'm forcing myself to be comfortable keeping that distance in the hand. I'll move my hand forward, so it's this distance, and being able to move my hand into the keyboard to move from a C to a C sharp. Now when it comes to exercises for this, I'm going to give you a bunch of these on Patreon, but you can be creative with this. Play something like this. Octave. And this is something that, this comes up all the time, where, like I say, when playing anything on the piano. If I'm playing chords, my left hand's just playing that octave pattern. I'm looking where that hand needs to move and I'm playing that. So that's our octave. And octaves are good because they're strong, but they're also consistent. The hand always feels the same when you play an octave. The downside of an octave, well, I guess there's two downsides. One, you might not necessarily want that really big, wide octave sound in the left hand. And also some players are going to find that octave motion or the stretch a little bit trickier. We could reduce the size of that octave and change the interval to a fifth. Now a fifth is going to be a smaller gap, but it does have one little problem with it. We're already used to the span of a fifth in our right hand. C to G is a fifth. Same down here, C to G is a fifth. It's going to give us our C5 or C power chord. And fingering wise, you definitely have options for this. A lot of the time I'll play it with my pinky and my thumb, but I'm not afraid to use my pinky and my index finger, because a lot of the time I'm going to go I go. That's playing a power chord in my hand. So being able to do pinky and index is good too. The problem you're going to find here is, while this might feel like it should work on all of the white keys, when we get here, that's not a fifth anymore. This is a flat 5. A fifth here is B to F sharp. So what I want you to do to work on your fifths is to take the fifth pattern, and we're going to move this up chromatically. So this is always going to result in you playing two of the same coloured keys, C to G, and then we go C sharp to G sharp. Black key, black key, white key, white key, black key, black key, white key, white key. But now for the B flat, we'll have black key, white key. then white key, black key, and then we're back to C. White key, white key. So getting used to that. Oops. Is important too, and it's just as valid if you listen to the difference between C, like if I'm playing like, or and when the chord changes. Maybe we combine, we go C, octave, fifth. So we want this to be an automatic motion. And trying it with the pinky and the thumb, but also pinky and index. So that's our introduction to the left hand. I do hope you have enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know in that comment section below. And of course, check out the link to my Patreon page where you can get more content like this, support the channel, and take your music learning to the next level. I've been Levi Clay. You've been awesome. Thanks for checking out the video, and I'll see you for another one soon. Laters.